Hello, everyone. This is the Mind of Lilith, and thank you for joining me today. I hope you're all doing well. I wanted to quickly share my thoughts about the Diddy Cassie situation pertaining to the assault that we saw on camera, courtesy of CNN. Back in 2016, Diddy was caught on camera assaulting Cassie as she tried to escape him. But he purchased the tape back in 2016 from the hotel staff, and we haven't seen it up until today, which is 8 years later. So Diddy won't be prosecuted for what we saw on camera. But what I wanted to talk about is how surprised people are about this video. Cassie stated in her testimony in that paperwork she submitted back in October of last year, she outlined everything that she went through with Diddy. And as I was reading her deposition or her testimony, I was visualizing everything that she was talking about to the point where my mind went to a very, very dark place when she described those freak-off sessions. What we saw in the hotel lobby on Friday was nothing compared to what she described in her testimony in that paperwork. We all read the paperwork, or most of us did. A lot of us did. And what she described in that paperwork is 100 times worse than what we saw on camera on Friday. Is it that people didn't believe her because they couldn't see what she was talking about? Like the way she outlined her abuse for years, talking about getting drugged or being drugged on purpose. And there was one part of the testimony where she said that she had gotten beaten up so badly that when security saw her, they were devastated. That means that she was bloody. That means she was disfigured. That means that she had been beaten so badly that you could see it all over her face and her body. Do you know how badly you have to be beaten for grown men and women to collapse in grief and pity as soon as they see you in that condition? She said she was beaten so badly that as soon as security and other staff saw her, they were devastated. That means more than likely she was disfigured. Black eyes, bloody nose, bloody mouth, black and blue everywhere. And I don't think they would have been as devastated if she just had bruises and scars on her body. Her face was more than likely brutalized as well. That's why Diddy had her hiding out in the hotel room to heal for a couple weeks after that incident. And then she described the freak-off sessions. In my mind, I'm imagining a young, helpless girl sedated and drugged out of her mind at the mercy of the lust of these big, hulking porn stars and Diddy's depravity. She's in that room by herself with these men. But people are so aghast about the hallway incident. People couldn't visualize what she was saying in that testimony. What she went through was horrific. That hallway incident is lightweight. And I'm not saying downplay what she's been through at all. That hallway incident was bad. But compared to what she discussed in that lawsuit, that was small potatoes. It was small potatoes compared to what she's really been through. And I'm not saying that she didn't go through anything, that incident in the hallway wasn't bad. It was bad. But why are people acting as if that's the worst thing that she's been through? And I'm not applying this to everybody. Some people believed her, right? A lot of women believed her. A lot of people believed her when she submitted that testimony months ago. But the reactions are different when they see the video. And I'm like, this video, I expected much worse. Compared to what she wrote in that paperwork, I expected much worse. And I suspect that this particular video was released because it was mild. It wasn't as bad as the other things that he's done. So the powers that be who were trying to put Diddy on notice, who are trying to humble him, they're doing it to a measured extent. They're not going to put out all of his business. They're going to put out just enough to make him look bad, but not enough to get him put away for a long period of time. Okay? You know, Diddy had Cassie on drugs, not just for her to be out of her mind, but because he wanted her body to be numb to the pain of him beating on her, of her being used as a sex object. People who are sedated or, they're taking drugs and they're numb from the drugs, they have a higher tolerance for pain and abuse. They can't resist. They can't fight back. So Diddy was literally turning her into a physical punching bag. that he could use to not just satisfy his lust, but his anger and his rage. So the camera footage that we saw, that was nothing compared to what he's really been doing to her. Yes, it was bad, but if you read that paperwork, he's done so much worse. And I'm sure there's evidence of him doing much worse to Cassie. I am sure of it. It sounds like Diddy may have been involved with some sort of sex trafficking ring, some sort of sex cult. He could have been making pornos with this young lady and selling them on a dark web. I don't know what he was doing. But years ago, there were rumors of like 50 Cent saying that he saw Cassie in compromising photos. Like she was doing some sort of porno. I don't know what she was doing. And Diddy knew about it. So I think like the hallway incident at this hotel, that was bad, but there's so much worse. And I really wish that people would stop needing to see physical evidence or video evidence of abuse to believe victims. Because most women don't have the benefit of having cameras on them while they're getting their asses beat. Most domestic violence victims are not with high profile perpetrators. They're with the average, regular, degular Joe Schmo, male or female. They don't really have any power or money like that. So, yes, I do understand that some women and even some men, but a lot of women lie about domestic violence. And this is one of the reasons why I have a lot of contempt for women who lie about domestic violence. There's someone who lie about men. That's true. That is absolutely true. But there are far more women who are telling the truth who are not believed because of the patriarchy, because of misogyny, and because there are some women who lie about being abused by their partners. Just like the Karens who lie about Black men attacking them, just like people lie on their coworkers to try to get them fired. Like people lie, right? But when it comes to DV incidents, it's very dangerous for people who are not victims to lie about being victims because most people want to give men the benefit of the doubt anyway. Most people, especially in the Black community, want to give Black men the benefit of the doubt as it pertains to domestic violence. So when certain women lie about DV incidents, it makes it harder for the women who are telling the truth to be believed. And that's one of the reasons why people needed to see the video evidence of Cassie getting her ass beat in order to believe her versus reading that 28, 29, 30-page document that she presented as evidence of what she'd been through, plus Diddy having a 30-year reputation of being an animal, someone who's mentally ill, a deviant, violent, abusive, controlling, manipulative, all of those things. We have evidence of this, but people needed to see her on camera getting her behind beat to believe her. And again, I'm not talking about everybody. There's some people who believed her when she presented that information. But what we saw on Friday paled in comparison. The abuse we saw on Friday was mild compared to the torture he put this girl through for years. He was torturing Cassie, torturing her. And when the prey tries to escape from the predator chases her down and hunts her down like an animal and kicks her and forces her back into the cage. Diddy held her hostage for years. It wasn't just that day. It wasn't just a month. He was holding Cassie hostage for years. And these weak-ass men, especially Black men, talking about, oh, I didn't know it was that bad. The deposition was way worse. The things you guys have been hearing about Diddy for years was way worse than this. Diddy is being tied to murders. Well, why didn't she run away? What you mean, why didn't she run away? Like, what's funny is that most of these men know how other men are. They know how they are. So they know that if a beautiful woman tries to leave them before they're ready for her to go, they know that they'll try to fight to get the woman back. They'll either use force or manipulation or deception. Why didn't she leave? Because she couldn't leave. That's why she was a hostage. When you read the deposition, she said that she could not leave on multiple occasions. Oh, she just wanted the money. Again, Diddy at one point was one of the most powerful men, and not just hip hop, in the world, period. He has ties to secret societies. He is one of those dudes. Was one of those dudes until he tried to break rank, I guess. Now he has to be humbled. What makes you think that this young lady, who was 18, 19 when he met her, would have the wherewithal to know how to escape someone with that type of power, that amount of money, that level of control, of reach, of psychopathy? What makes you think she had the power to do that? Like I said, a lot of these men want to make excuses for other abusive men. Most Black men want to make excuses for other Black men's abusive behavior. And so they don't give her the benefit of the doubt. Cassie was not going to get the benefit of the doubt because she's pretty and she was, Diddy's rich and she was just a gold digger. She may have been enticed by his money initially, but you cannot tell me that Cassie wanted to get her ass beat. She didn't want to be tortured. Nobody wants that. She would have rather have just have the money and live a happy life in peace and prosperity with love and support and nurturing. She did not want to get her ass beat. Nobody wants that. So she tried to leave on multiple occasions. I believed her in her testimony. All of a sudden, oh my God, he did this. What do y'all mean? Y'all didn't believe what she wrote in the paperwork? Not y'all, but the ones who didn't believe her. Are y'all serious? These men can't be serious. We need to see the evidence. What if there was no evidence? Like Kim Porter. So if there's no evidence, that means it didn't happen. Now, I'm not saying that we should go on a witch hunt against people with no evidence. But Diddy has a long track record of being a violent deviant. A long track record against men and women and teenagers. Not just men and women, also young people. A long track record of this behavior. So many black men can put together the pieces, Diddy being involved with Biggie's death or with Tupac's death or with other people's demise in the industry, but somehow they can't figure out that this young lady was being held captive by this monster for almost a decade. They can't figure that out though, right? Strong, robust, powerful men have been destroyed by Diddy. But this young 19-year-old, 20-year-old girl, she should have just left. She should have just left. That's what these men are saying. And a lot of men in these spaces won't say a goddamn thing because a lot of these men are abusive too. A lot of these men are Diddies. We have a lot of Diddies in our community. A lot. A whole lot. With mommy issues. You could tell from that video that Diddy hates women. He absolutely hates and despises and abhors women. He hates them with a passion. And when a man hates women to that extent, you got to look back to the parents. You got to look back to his mother. What did his mother do to him to make him hate women with that level of viciousness and disdain and contempt and hatred? Now, I'm not saying that all violent, deviant, and destructive men have bad relationships with their mother. I'm not saying that at all, but, I wouldn't be surprised if Diddy's mother helped to mold and shape him into the psychopath. He is a psychopath. And then he apologized. I didn't listen to the apology because it was full of crap, but he wasn't apologizing to Cassie and to other women like Kim Porter. He was apologizing to the handlers who he tried to get buck with. The handlers who had to put him in his place. This kind of reminds me of like Cinderella. Like Diddy was living a Cinderella life, and now the clock has struck midnight. And his golden chariot has turned into a pumpkin. He's now back into being an emperor with no clothes. It's like overnight they stripped him of all of the floss and the money and the prestige that they gave him. They made him, and now they broke him because he thought he could get buck. He thought he could be the spook who sat by the door. And whoever he's working for, don't play them type of games. They didn't get to where they are by allowing men like Diddy to take over. You're not doing nothing over here, Negro. Sorry. So this all started happening once Diddy, not all started happening, but once Diddy got into this lawsuit situation with DeLeon, you gonna do what? We made you, and we will break you. And they made an example out of him. Now, this seems like a spanking, but it's not that big of a deal because he's not gonna go to jail for anything. More than likely, he's not gonna go to jail for any of the things that he's done. He's just going to be humbled and shamed and left like Russell Simmons. Russell Simmons is another one. For years, he's been preying on women. And the men of hip-hop have looked the other way and allowed this man to prey on women for decades. And now he's in Bali. It's not a coincidence that the leaders of hip-hop are the most vile and depraved members of our community. Dr. Dre, Diddy, Russell Simmons, some would even say 50 Cent to an extent. A lot of these men don't like women. They don't respect women. That's why they're allowed to be the leaders of our culture, because they will promote music and culture that destroys the community and families. Because it's all about the Benjamins and the whores. Forget marriage, forget family values, forget culture, forget education, forget community, forget all of those things. Just floss and stunt and fuck around and do drugs and get high and party and bullshit. That's what these men are hired to promote. So as soon as they're no longer useful, R. Kelly, Diddy, Russell Simmons, they'll get rid of him. The music industry is changing. They got to put new chess pieces on the board. He's no longer in touch with the pulse of the young people. He's aged out of the game, like Russell Simmons. Now, Quincy Jones is an OG. He ain't going nowhere. He's one of those dudes that he's in it for life because he knew how to stay in his place. But most of these men have witnessed these freak-offs. They witnessed women being trafficked and drugged and violated and defiled by horny male prostitutes. Most of them are into that. That's why most of these dudes do not get married. A lot of them are gay and a lot of them hate women. Don't you notice that hip-hop culture is anti-marriage, anti-family, anti-woman, anti-children? Most of these men are PDFs, women beaters, womanizers, closet homosexuals. That's why they're allowed to thrive in this space, in this industry. The CIA knew that. That's why they did what they did with Bambaataa in the 70s when they created this whole construct of hip-hop. Bambaataa was associated with some other people that are considered to be icons in the Black community. So hip-hop is a CIA experiment. Diddy was one of the agents. He got $2. Now he has to apologize, not to Cassie and other women, but to the handlers. I'm sorry, massa. I didn't know my place. It's okay, my Negro son. You'll be fine. We'll, spank you a little bit. We'll shame you, but you won't go to jail for anything. But we got to teach you a lesson. Not just for you, for the other Negroes who think they can do the same thing that you try to do. Try to get buck, Jay-Z. Try to get buck, Dr. Dre. Stay in your place. We made you. We could break you. Period. So yeah, am I surprised? Well, am I surprised? I'm a bit irritated that so many men are like, oh, now I believe her. Oh my God, this is so horrible. The videotape. Yo, what she described in her documents, in those documents, was 10 times worse than this. It was abhorrent what she described. The freak-off sessions, being drugged, and then being forced to, then having her body just sit there and be just used by these men. And Diddy, in his depravity, him directing him to do things to her. She has no power. She's helpless in a room by herself with all these men. That is horrific. It was so bad that, again, this hotel lobby incident seems mild in comparison. And it is mild in comparison. Not to downplay it, but compared to what he's already done to her and other women, breaking Kim Porter's nose, beating Cassie to a pulp, blowing up cars, like, come on. Black men, y'all gotta do better. With this whole, I didn't believe her. I gotta see the videotape. You didn't read that documentation? Why did you need all that to believe her? Because low-key, most of you men believe that Cassie deserved it. She wanted the money, she wanted the lifestyle, so now she has to pay for it with a pound of flesh. Most Black men believe that women have to suffer for the privilege of having a good life, of being happy, having money, having security, having peace. They want you to suffer and pay for that. It wasn't enough that Diddy was almost 20 years older than Cassie, the young, fit, feminine preference. That wasn't enough. He had to torture her and basically, destroy her. This is one of the reasons why a lot of these older men prefer younger women, because younger women don't know the game. They don't know what's going on. They're easily impressed by apologies and false words of contrition and, the love bombing and the gift giving, and they're not aware of how narcissists operate. They're too naive and too innocent. An older woman would not fall for that game. You'll be surprised that so many Black men are actually narcissists. They are socialized into being narcissists for the most part. Not all Black men, but many of them are, especially when you're dealing with parents and mothers who are broken themselves. Broken mothers tend to create broken children. And the mothers in our community have been broken by centuries of spiritual, psychological, emotional, and physical abuse. Centuries. And we've never healed from that. So we're passing down this trauma to our babies and our sons. And our sons become sociopaths. They become violent, depraved, animalistic. Not all Black people, of course not. But Diddy is high-key a sociopath. His apology means nothing. He's not apologizing to Cassie or to Kim Porter. He low-key thinks they deserved what they got. They earned it. He's apologizing to the people who are spanking him. You're doing too much, Diddy. Stay in your place. We made you. We're going to break you now. And they don't need him anymore. They don't need Diddy to be an ambassador for hip-hop anymore. They're setting up other people to take over his spot. It is what it is. So anyway, What do you guys think? Do you guys think that the hotel video incident was worse than the testimony that Cassie provided in the paperwork? Why do you think people have more of a visceral reaction to the video than the actual documents? Maybe it's me because I'm a visual reader and I'm a visual listener. What I hear, I can see, and what I read, I can see. So there's no difference to me in reading something and seeing it for me. So maybe that's why I'm not surprised, or I'm not that taken aback by that hotel video, because there was much worse in the paperwork. Again, she described one incident where she was beaten so badly that as soon as Diddy's staff saw her, they broke down and cried. That means she was disfigured, in my opinion. Her face was disfigured. That's how badly he beat her. The incident in the hallway was effed up, absolutely. But he's done way worse. So please, in the future, I'm hoping that we believe women the first time. We don't need to see video evidence all the time before we can trust the woman's testimony about domestic violence. For some reason, Black men are the most likely to engage in domestic violence. Black women are most likely to be the victims of domestic violence. But for some reason, Black men are less inclined to believe Black women when we say we're being abused. A lot of Black men are abusers. It's a part of the culture. It always has been from back in the day. Even before the daddies weren't in the home en masse. Read biographies of Black people in the early 19th, 20th century. Most of them beat their wives as a matter of course. It was considered to be something that was normal. So for you guys not to believe anything that women say about abuse, and you're the most likely to be abusive, is saying what? You love women? You respect women? We're a matriarchy, right? If the Black community is a matriarchy, then Cassie would have been believed by the majority of Black men from the beginning. And she was not. We're still a patriarchy. We are a trans matriarchy, meaning we are a patriarchy in a dress. We got women taking on the roles of men in the household, but we don't have a matriarchal system, a society. We don't. It's still male-centered. It's still male-dominated. Women like Kelly Price will still give men like Diddy the benefit of the doubt. They'll believe him when he says he's sorry. Diddy's not sorry. He's not. He doesn't know what sorry means. He has no empathy. The way that he treated Cassie and Kim Porter and other people, not just women, other people he's dealt with, he is a sociopath. He has no empathy whatsoever. Why? I don't know. But something must have happened to him as a child to make him like this. Or some people are born sociopath. If both of Diddy's parents were trash, then I could see them creating a child that was mentally warped, just like they are. That's a possibility too. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I look forward to reading your feedback. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon.